Some warnings aren't meant to scare you. They exist for one reason, because someone didn't listen. Every night, after midnight, the world becomes quieter, thinner. And certain things begin to move where you can't see them. They don't knock. They don't chase. They wait. Under your bed. In the dark. Right beneath you. So before this story begins, remember one rule. No matter what you hear. No matter what calls your name. Never look under the bed after midnight. Chapter 1. The Room. I moved into that room on a rain-soaked afternoon. The kind of rain that didn't fall, it pressed down. Heavy and suffocating. As if the sky itself was trying to bury the city beneath it. The landlord barely spoke. He didn't ask about my job. Didn't care how long I'd stay. He just handed me the key. His fingers cold and slightly trembling. And before leaving, he paused at the doorway like he had forgotten something important. Then he said it. Low, slow. After midnight, never look under the bed. I almost laughed. It sounded like something out of a cheap horror story. The kind people tell to scare kids. I nodded casually, brushing it off, already thinking about unpacking and getting some rest. But the way he looked at me before he left. That wasn't a joke. That was fear. The room itself felt wrong. Not obviously. Not at first. It was small, cramped, with yellowing walls that seemed to absorb the dim light rather than reflect it. The air smelled faintly of damp wood and something older, something stale. Like a place that had been closed off for too long, or something that had never really been empty. The bed stood against the far wall. Old, wooden, slightly warped. And underneath it, darkness. Not just shadow. Not the kind cast by furniture or weak light. It was deeper than that. A thick, unmoving blackness that seemed to swallow everything that tried to touch it. Even when I turned on the overhead light, the space beneath the bed remained wrong, as if the light refused to go there. I noticed it. Of course I did. But I told myself it was nothing. Just a trick of perspective. Just exhaustion. Just my mind playing games after a long day. So I unpacked. I ignored the silence. Ignored the way the room seemed to listen. And when night came, I lay down on that bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling the faint creak of wood beneath me with every breath I took. Outside, the rain didn't stop. Inside, it was too quiet. At some point, I fell asleep. And just before I did, I thought I heard something. A soft sound. From below. Like something shifting. Waiting. Right under the bed. Chapter 2:12. 00 a.m. I didn't wake up all at once. It wasn't a sudden jolt or a nightmare that tore me out of sleep. It was something softer. Something quieter. Something deliberate. A sound. Skr, skr, skr. At first, it blended into the darkness. Into the half-dream state where your mind refuses to fully wake. I lay there, eyes still closed, trying to ignore it, convincing myself it was nothing more than rain tapping against the window, or wood settling, or maybe a rat moving somewhere in the walls. But then it came again. Closer this time. Slower. Skr, skr? My eyes opened. The room was pitch black. The kind of darkness that feels thick. Almost physical, pressing against your skin. Filling your lungs. The rain had stopped. There was no wind, no distant traffic, no sound from the world outside. Only that noise. Coming from beneath me. I held my breath. Listened. Skr, skr, skr. It wasn't random. That was the first thing I realized. It had rhythm. Not like scratching. Not like an animal. It sounded intentional. As if something was dragging its fingers slowly across the wooden slats under the bed. As if it knew I was awake. A cold sensation crept up my spine, spreading outward, locking my body in place. I didn't dare move, didn't dare even shift my head. Because I knew. If I moved, it would know for sure. The sound stopped. Just like that. Cut off mid-motion. Silence flooded the room again. But it wasn't empty silence. It was waiting. Heavy. Expectant. Then. A faint shift. Right below my head. Something, repositioning itself. And in that moment, I became painfully aware of one thing. Whatever was under the bed was no longer just moving. It was listening. To me. And it was very, very close.
Like and subscribe to Whispering Dark Tales for more chilling ghost stories.
Chapter 3. The Whisper. I told myself I wouldn't listen. That whatever I heard the night before was just exhaustion. Just my mind filling the silence with something that wasn't there. I kept repeating that. Over and over. Until midnight came again. I was awake this time. Lying still on the bed. Staring into the darkness. Waiting. The room felt colder than before. Not the kind of cold you get from weather, but something deeper. Something that seemed to seep out from the floor itself. Rising slowly. Like it was breathing. Then. Skr, skr? It started again. Slower. Closer. Right beneath me. My chest tightened. My fingers curled into the sheets. Gripping them so hard I could feel the fabric stretch under my nails. I tried to steady my breathing. But each inhale felt too loud. Too sharp in the silence. The sound stopped. And for a moment, there was nothing. Just that same suffocating stillness. Then I heard it. A voice. So faint I almost thought it was inside my head. Hey. I froze. Every muscle locked in place. The voice was wrong. Not because of how it sounded. But because of where it came from. Directly beneath me. From the darkness under the bed. Can you hear me? It was soft. Gentle. Almost pleading. And unbearably close. My throat tightened, but no sound came out. I couldn't respond. I couldn't move. All I could do was lie there. Staring into nothing. Feeling the presence below me like a weight pressing upward against the mattress. Then it spoke again. A little clearer this time. A little closer. Look down. My heart slammed against my ribs. No. I whispered, barely audible, the word escaping before I could stop it. Silence. For a second, I thought that was it. That maybe it would stop. That maybe ignoring it would make it go away. Then. A soft chuckle. Low. Broken. Right under my head. You heard me? The temperature dropped instantly. The mattress beneath me shifted ever so slightly. As if something underneath had just pressed closer. Closer to my face. Look down. This time, it wasn't a suggestion. It was a command. And somehow, deep down, I knew something far worse than fear. It wasn't asking anymore. It was waiting for me to obey. Chapter 4. The Shadow. I don't remember deciding to move. It just happened. Slowly. Carefully. Like my body no longer fully belonged to me. The voice had stopped, but the silence it left behind felt worse, thicker, heavier, like something unseen was pressing in from all sides, forcing me to act. My fingers twitched first. Then my arm. With a sudden burst of desperation, I reached blindly toward the bedside table and slammed my hand against the lamp switch. Click. Light flooded the room. Too bright, too sudden. For a brief second, everything looked normal again, the stained walls, the old wooden furniture, the thin layer of dust that never seemed to go away. And the bed. Still. Silent. Empty. I let out a shaky breath I didn't realize I had been holding. "It's nothing," I muttered to myself. "Just my imagination." But then, I saw it. On the floor. Right beside the bed. A shadow. Long. Distorted. And wrong. It wasn't cast by me. It couldn't be. Because I was standing still. And it was moving. Slowly. Twitching in small, unnatural jerks, like something struggling to remember how to behave like a shadow. It stretched along the wooden floor, its edges trembling, warping, almost as if it were trying to crawl out from beneath the bed. My stomach dropped. The light was on. There was nothing blocking it. Nothing that should create that shape. And yet, there it was. Pressed flat against the floor. Clinging to the edge of the bed like it was afraid to come fully into the light. Or maybe, like it wasn't allowed to. I took a step back. The shadow reacted instantly. It stopped. Then, very slowly, it turned. Not the way shadows should. Not following light or angle. But deliberately. Like a living thing. It turned toward me. I couldn't breathe. My pulse pounded in my ears, drowning out everything else as I stared at it, unable to look away. And then, it twitched. Once. Twice. And began to pull itself back. Sliding. Stretching. Retreating into the darkness beneath the bed. Not vanishing. Not fading. But withdrawing. Like something that had been seen. When it wasn't supposed to be. The room fell silent again. But this time, I understood something I hadn't before. Whatever was under the bed wasn't just making sounds. It had a shape. And it knew that I had seen it.
Like and subscribe to Whispering Dark Tales for more chilling ghost stories.
Chapter 5. The Warning. Morning came, but it didn't feel like morning. The light that seeped through the thin curtains was pale. Lifeless. Like it didn't belong in that room. It didn't warm anything. It didn't chase away the cold that still clung to the floor. To the bed, to the space beneath it. I hadn't slept. Not really. Every time I closed my eyes, I could feel it. Waiting. Just below me. Listening. The memory of the shadow replayed over and over in my mind. Each time more distorted, more real. It hadn't behaved like something caused by light. It had reacted, like it was aware. Like it knew it had been caught. And worse. It had retreated. As if it didn't want to be seen. Or wasn't supposed to be. I couldn't stay in the room any longer. By mid-morning, I found myself standing outside the landlord's door, my hand hovering in the air for a few seconds before I finally knocked. The door opened slowly. He looked exactly the same as yesterday. Except now, there was no attempt to hide the fear. "You heard it, didn't you?" he asked before I could say a word. My throat tightened. "Yes." I hesitated. "And I saw something." That made him go still. Not surprised. Not confused. Just still. Like he had been waiting for me to say that. "What did you see?" he asked quietly. "A shadow," I said. "It moved. It wasn't normal. I told you not to look." His voice cut through mine sharply. Too sharply. I flinched. "You didn't listen." There was no anger in his tone. That made it worse. There was only certainty. And something else. Regret. "What is it?" I asked, my voice barely steady. "What's under the bed?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he glanced past me, toward the hallway. Toward the direction of my room. As if he expected something to be standing there. Listening. Then he leaned slightly closer. Lowered his voice. "The last tenant," he said slowly. "Heard the same thing." My pulse quickened. "What happened to him?" Silence. A long, suffocating silence. Then, he stopped answering his phone. "That's it?" I asked. "He just left?" The landlord shook his head. "No." Another pause. Longer this time. "He didn't leave." A chill ran through me. "What do you mean?" The landlord swallowed, his eyes flicking once more toward the hallway before settling back on mine. "He stayed," he said. The word felt wrong. Heavy. Like it meant more than it should. "Stayed where?" He didn't respond immediately. And when he finally did, his voice dropped to a whisper. "Under the bed." Everything inside me went cold. "That's not funny," I said, though my voice didn't sound like I believed that. "I'm not joking." He stared at me. Unblinking. "After midnight, you hear it. You ignore it. You never look. A beat. If you look." He stopped. Didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. Because in that moment, I realized something far worse than anything he could have said. Last night, it didn't just speak to me. It knew I was there. And now, it knew that I had already broken the rule. Chapter 6. The third night. I shouldn't have stayed. Every instinct told me to leave, to pack my things. Walk out. Never look back. But fear doesn't always make you run. Sometimes, it makes you wait. I told myself I needed proof. That what I heard, what I saw, it had to be explainable. Something logical. Something real. So I stayed. And when night came for the third time, I didn't sleep. I lay on the bed, fully awake, staring into the darkness. Every muscle tense, every sense sharpened to a painful edge. The room felt different now. Not empty. Occupied. The air was colder than ever. Thick enough that each breath felt like dragging something heavy into my lungs. I checked my phone. 11:58 p.m. My heart was already racing. 11:59. The seconds stretched. Too long. Too slow. Then. 12:17. Not midnight. Not exactly. But something else. Something worse. Skr. It started again. Louder than before. Closer. The sound vibrated through the wooden frame beneath me, traveling up into my spine. It wasn't just noise anymore, it had weight, presence, intention. And then, a voice. Clear. No longer a whisper. "You're still here?" I froze. It sounded like me. Not similar. Not close. Exactly like me. Every tone, every breath. Distorted, just slightly. Like it was being forced through something too tight. Something not meant to speak. "No," I breathed, the words slipping out before I could stop it. Silence. Then, a low, broken laugh. Right under my back. I knew it. My pulse pounded violently as I pressed myself into the mattress, as if trying to get further away from the thing directly beneath me. "You hear me now," it continued. Not asking. Stating. I squeezed my eyes shut, shaking my head even though it couldn't see me. Or at least, I hoped it couldn't. "Don't pretend." The bed creaked. Softly. But not from my movement. From below. Something shifted. Slow. Deliberate. As if it was adjusting itself. Getting closer. We sound the same. My breathing broke. I couldn't control it anymore. Each inhale came out too loud. Too desperate. And then, it spoke again. Closer than before. Right under my chest. "Because I am you." Something inside me snapped. I rolled away from the center of the bed, scrambling toward the edge, my hands gripping the sheets. My body finally breaking free from the paralysis. But just as my feet touched the floor, the sound stopped. Instantly. Total silence. I stood there, shaking, staring at the bed. Waiting. Listening. Nothing. No movement. No voice. No scratching. Just that same suffocating quiet. But this time, it wasn't empty. Because now I knew something I hadn't fully understood before. Whatever was under the bed wasn't trying to scare me anymore. It was talking to me. Learning me. And worst of all, it was starting to sound exactly like me.
Like and subscribe to Whispering Dark Tales for more chilling ghost stories.
Chapter 7. The Laughter. I stopped turning off the light. Every night after that, I left it on, bright, harsh, almost painful to look at. I told myself it would help. That whatever was under the bed wouldn't come out into the light. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. Because it had already moved once. Even with the light on. That night, I didn't even try to lie down. I sat on the edge of the bed instead. My back against the wall. Knees pulled close. Staring at the floor as if watching it would somehow keep it from happening again. Time dragged. Each second stretched thin, fragile, like it might snap if I listened too closely. 11:57. 11:59. And then 12:17. The light flickered. Just once. But it was enough. Skr. Skr? The sound returned. Slower than before. Heavier. Like something was dragging more than just fingers now. Like it was pulling itself forward. Right beneath me. I clenched my jaw, forcing myself not to react. Not to move. Not to acknowledge it. Because it had said something before. It was learning. And I couldn't let it know I was afraid. The scratching stopped. A long pause followed. Too long. Long enough that my muscles began to ache from being so tense. Then, a sound broke through the silence. Soft at first. Almost like breathing. Then it twisted. Warped. Became something else. A laugh. Low. Dry. Cracking at the edges like something that had forgotten how laughter was supposed to sound. Hey! My skin crawled instantly. The sound wasn't just coming from under the bed. It was spreading. Echoing faintly against the walls. Slipping into the corners of the room. Filling the space in a way that didn't make sense. You're trying not to listen. It spoke between breaths of that broken laughter. My hands tightened into fists. Don't respond. Don't move. Don't let it know. But I can hear you. My heartbeat spiked. Loud. Too loud. Every little sound. The laugh returned. Sharper this time. Closer. You're scared? I shook my head. My teeth clenched so hard they hurt. No, I whispered under my breath. A mistake. The moment the word left my lips. The laughter stopped. Instantly. The silence that followed was worse than anything before. Because it wasn't empty. It was focused. On me. There you are? The voice came again. Clear. Satisfied. Right beneath my feet. I knew you'd talk to me. My stomach twisted violently. I pulled my legs up onto the bed without thinking. My eyes locked on the floor. On the thin line of darkness beneath the frame. And then. Something new. A faint pressure. From below. The mattress dipped slightly. Just enough to feel it. Just enough to know. Something underneath had reached up. Touching the underside of the bed. Right beneath where I had been sitting. Don't worry. The voice whispered. Soft now. Almost gentle. I'm getting closer. My breath hitched. My vision blurred for a second as panic surged through me. And then. A final, quiet sound. Right under my hands. Just a little more. The laugh returned. But this time. It didn't sound broken anymore. It sounded. Happy. Chapter 8. The Hand. I don't know what made me do it. It wasn't bravery. It wasn't curiosity. It was something worse. A slow, creeping compulsion that had been building inside me since the first night. Like a thought that didn't belong to me had taken root, and was finally ready to bloom. The room was silent. Too silent. No scratching. No voice. No laughter. That should have made it easier. But it didn't. Because now. It felt like something was waiting for me to act. I stood beside the bed. Staring down at the thin strip of darkness beneath it. The light above me flickered faintly. Buzzing just enough to make the silence feel even more unnatural. Don't look. The landlord's voice echoed in my mind. Too late. My body was already moving. Slowly. Against my will. I bent down. Just a little. My breath shallow. My heart pounding so hard it blurred everything else. The darkness under the bed didn't look normal. It wasn't just the absence of light. It felt thick. Dense. Like something solid that my eyes couldn't fully penetrate. I leaned closer. Closer. Trying to see past it. Trying to prove to myself there was nothing there. And then. It happened. A hand. It didn't crawl out. It didn't lunge. It simply appeared, emerging slowly from the blackness like it had always been there, like it had been waiting just beyond sight. Pale. Too pale. The skin stretched tight over long, unnatural fingers. The joints bent slightly the wrong way. And the nails. Dark. Thick. Jagged. Like they had been scraping against wood for a very long time. My body locked instantly. Every instinct screamed at me to move, to run, to do anything. But I couldn't. Because the hand wasn't reaching for me. Not yet. It was gripping the edge of the bed. Holding it. Steady. As if testing something. As if preparing. My breath came out in short, broken gasps. And then, the fingers twitched. Once. Slowly tightening their grip. The wood creaked under the pressure. You looked. The voice came from below. Soft. Satisfied. Closer than it had ever been. I tried to pull back. But I was too late. The hand shifted. Moved just slightly. Not toward me. But upward. Climbing. Dragging itself higher along the frame of the bed. Each movement slow. Deliberate. Unavoidable. Good. My vision blurred as panic surged through me. My legs finally responded. I stumbled back, nearly falling, my eyes still locked on that hand as it continued to rise. Higher. Closer to the surface. Closer to where I had been standing. Now I can see you. The fingers curled. Tight. Patient. Waiting. And in that moment, I understood something that made my blood run cold. It hadn't reached out before. Because it needed me to look first. And now, it knew exactly where I was.
Like and subscribe to Whispering Dark Tales for more chilling ghost stories.
Chapter 9. The Face. I should have run. The door was right there. A few steps. That's all it would have taken. But I didn't move. Because the moment that hand appeared, something inside me broke. Not in panic. Not in fear. But in a way that felt final. Like I had already crossed a line I couldn't come back from. The room felt smaller now. Tighter. As if the walls themselves had shifted closer without me noticing. My eyes were locked on the side of the bed. On the place where the hand had disappeared. Waiting. Because I knew. It wasn't over. The silence stretched. Long. Unnatural. Heavy enough to crush thought itself. Then. The mattress dipped. Slightly. Right in the center. I stopped breathing. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't imagined. Something underneath. Had just pressed up against the bed. From below. Slowly. Carefully. As if testing the distance between us. My heart pounded so violently it hurt. And then. The hand came back. This time higher. Hooking over the edge. The fingers curled tightly. Nails scraping against the wood with a sound that made my teeth ache. And then. Another movement. Something behind it. Rising. Pushing upward. For a split second, I thought. No. It couldn't. But it did. A forehead appeared first. Pale. Too smooth. Too still. Then. Eyes. Wide open. Unblinking. Staring directly at me the moment they cleared the edge. My entire body went cold. Because I knew those eyes. I had seen them every day. In mirrors. In reflections. In passing glass. They were mine. The rest of the face followed slowly, dragging itself into view like it was forcing its way into a world it didn't quite fit into. The skin was wrong. Tighter. Stretched in places it shouldn't be. And the smile. God. The smile was too wide. Far too wide. Pulling at the corners of the face as if something underneath was trying to split it open. "There you are?" It spoke. And the voice. There was no difference now. It wasn't distorted anymore. It wasn't broken. It was me. Perfectly. Exactly. My knees weakened. I stumbled back, shaking my head, my mouth opening but no sound coming out. "That's not, no." It tilted its head slightly. Mimicking me. Watching me. Learning. "I've been waiting." It lifted itself higher. Too easily. Too smoothly. Like it didn't need effort anymore. Like the space under the bed was no longer holding it back. "You finally saw me?" My back hit the wall. I couldn't go further. Couldn't escape. Couldn't look away. Because no matter how wrong it was, no matter how twisted, it was still me. Staring at itself. From outside. And then. It smiled wider. Just a little more. Enough to tear the illusion completely apart. "Now it's your turn." Chapter 10. It speaks. I couldn't breathe. Not because the air was gone. But because something else had taken its place. Something heavy. Something wrong. It stood there now. Half out from under the bed. Half still inside that impossible darkness. And it was watching me. No. It was studying me. Every twitch of my fingers. Every shake of my breath. Every desperate attempt to convince myself this wasn't real. "You don't recognize me?" Its voice was calm. Too calm. No distortion. No echo. Just my voice. Perfect. As if it had always belonged to it. I pressed myself harder against the wall, my hands trembling violently, searching blindly for something, anything, to hold on to. "This isn't real," I whispered. The words sounded weak. Empty. Even to me. Its smile twitched. Just slightly. "You said that yesterday too?" My stomach dropped. Cold. Hollow. "You remember?" It tilted its head again. That same unnatural angle. Mirroring me. But not quite right. "I remember everything?" The room seemed to shrink further. The corners darkened. Not like shadows. But like something was seeping in from places that shouldn't exist. And beneath it. The bed. Still open. Still connected. Still leading somewhere deeper. "Stay back," I said, my voice breaking. Another mistake. The moment I spoke. Its eyes lit up. Not brighter. But sharper. Focused. "You're talking to me now?" It took a step forward. The movement was wrong. Too smooth. Too effortless. Like it wasn't bound by weight or balance. Like it was being pulled instead of walking. That makes it easier. My pulse exploded in my ears. "What are you?" I shouted. The words came out louder than I expected. Desperate. Cracked. Human. It stopped. Right in front of the bed. The smile faded. Slowly. Not into anger. Not into sadness. but into something far worse. Understanding. I'm what's left. A pause. Then, when you look, the temperature dropped instantly. My skin prickled as something unseen brushed past me, cold, damp, like breath that didn't belong to the living. No, I shook my head violently. That's not possible. You already did it. It interrupted softly, gently, like reminding me of something obvious, something final. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was complete, like a door had just closed somewhere I couldn't see. And then, it stepped closer. Close enough that I could see every detail of its face. Every flaw. Every wrong line. Every tiny difference that proved it wasn't me. And yet, was. Now we switch. My heart stopped. For just a second. Long enough to understand. Long enough to realize. It had never been trying to come out. Not fully. Not on its own. It needed something. Someone. A replacement. Wait. Too late. Because in that moment, it reached for me.
Like and subscribe to Whispering Dark Tales for more chilling ghost stories.
Chapter 11. The Exchange. I tried to move. I really did. But the moment its hand reached toward me, my body stopped responding. Not frozen in fear. Not paralyzed by shock. It was something else. Something deeper. Like my control had been taken away. Like I was no longer the one inside my own body. My arm twitched. Not by my will. Slowly. It began to lift. Mirroring it. No, no, stop. My voice broke, but it didn't matter. Because it wasn't listening. Or worse. It didn't need to. Don't fight it. It whispered, its voice calm, almost soothing. The exact tone I used when I tried to calm myself down. It only hurts more. My hand rose higher. Closer to it. Closer to the thing wearing my face. I could feel something pulling, not on my skin, not on my muscles, but on something deeper. Something intangible. My shadow. I didn't notice it at first. Not until it moved. A sharp, unnatural jerk on the floor beneath me. I looked down. And my blood ran cold. My shadow wasn't following me anymore. It was stretching. Pulling. Being dragged. Toward the bed. Toward it. No. I tried to step back. But my feet barely shifted. Because the shadow wasn't attached the way it should be. It peeled away from my feet. Slowly. Like something being torn loose. And it hurt. Not physically. But in a way I couldn't describe. Like losing something I didn't even know I needed. There it is. It said softly. Watching. Not me. But the shadow. That's what I need. The darkness beneath the bed pulsed. For a moment, I could see it clearly. Not empty. Not hollow. But deep. Endless. Like a space that went far beyond the floor. My shadow stretched further. Longer. Thinner. Until it reached the edge of the bed. And then, something from below grabbed it. Not a hand. Not a shape. Just darkness. Grasping. Pulling. My breath hitched violently. I could feel it being taken. Piece by piece. Stop, please. I gasped, my voice cracking into something unrecognizable. But it only smiled. That wide, Unnatural smile. It's already done. The pull became stronger. My knees buckled. I collapsed onto the floor. My eyes locked on the horrifying sight of my own shadow disappearing beneath the bed. And as the last piece slipped into the darkness, something changed. Instantly. The weight lifted. The tension snapped. And I could move again. But it was too late. Because it stepped forward. Fully. No longer half hidden. No longer incomplete. It stood in front of me. Whole. Solid. Real. And I felt empty. Like something essential had been removed. Like I was still there. But no longer entirely me. It looked down at me. Calm. Satisfied. Thank you. Then it tilted its head. One last time. Perfectly mimicking the way I used to. I'll take it from here. And behind it, the darkness under the bed shifted again. Hungry. Waiting. For what was left of me. Chapter 12. What this place really is. I didn't die. That was the first thing I realized. And somehow, that made it worse. I was still conscious. Still aware. But the world wasn't where I had left it. Everything was darker. Not just dim. Distorted. Like I was looking at reality through something thick and warped. Where shapes bent slightly. Where corners didn't quite meet. Where shadows lingered longer than they should. I tried to move. And I could. But not the way I used to. Every motion felt delayed. Heavy. Like I wasn't controlling a body anymore. Just occupying something. Something incomplete. Then I noticed where I was. Low. Too low. My perspective hovered just above the ground. The wooden floor stretched endlessly around me. The texture exaggerated. The gaps between the planks deeper than they should be. Like cracks leading somewhere far below. And ahead. Darkness. Familiar. Suffocating. Endless. The space under the bed. No. Not under. Inside. My breath caught, though I wasn't even sure I needed to breathe anymore. This isn't possible? My voice came out wrong. Faint. Distant. As if it had to travel through something before reaching my own ears. Then. I heard it. A sound behind me. Skr, skr? I turned slowly. And saw them. Not one. Not two. Dozens. Shadows. Twisted. Thin. Clinging to the underside of the bed like insects to the ceiling. Some stretched unnaturally long. Some curled in tight, trembling shapes. Others simply lay still, as if they had forgotten how to move at all. But all of them faced the same direction. Toward me. You're new? The voice came from somewhere among them. Not a single source. But many. Layered. Overlapping. The same tone spoken dozens of times at once. I staggered back. No, no, I'm not supposed to be here. None of us were. Another voice. Then another. Then all of them. Soft. Broken. We looked. A wave of cold spread through whatever remained of me. We all looked. I shook my head, panic rising again. There has to be a way out, there has to. Laughter. Weak. Cracked. From every direction. There is no out. The darkness pulsed. Closer now. Breathing. alive. Only up. I froze. Slowly. Reluctantly. I looked upward. And saw it. The underside of the bed. But not as it should be. The wood wasn't solid. It shifted. Rippled. Like a thin surface separating two spaces. Two worlds. And above it, faintly, I could see the room. The real room. Blurry. Distant. Like something viewed through deep water. And then, a figure moved. Standing. Walking. Alive. Me. Or what used to be me. It paused. As if sensing something. As if feeling something from below. Then, slowly, it turned. And for a brief, horrifying moment, our eyes met. Through the barrier. Through the impossible space. And it smiled. Not wide. Not monstrous. Just normal. Perfectly normal. It works every time. It whispered. But not to me. To the room. To itself. To whatever would come next. And as it walked away, leaving the bed behind, I understood the truth. This place was never just a room. It was a trap. And the bed was the door. Not to something outside, but to something waiting underneath. For anyone foolish enough to look.
Like and subscribe to Whispering Dark Tales for more chilling ghost stories.
Chapter 13. The New Tenant. Time doesn't move the same way here. I don't know how long I've been trapped beneath the bed. Hours. Days. Or something far worse. Something that doesn't have a name anymore. Down here, everything stretches. Moments linger too long. Silence feels alive. And the darkness. It listens. At first, I tried to scream. Tried to claw my way upward. Toward that thin, shifting surface that separated this place from the room above. But it didn't respond. It never does. The others stopped me eventually. Not by force. But by knowing. Don't waste it. It won't open for you. Not anymore. Their voices never come from one place. They drift. Slide across the darkness. Sometimes close. Sometimes far. But always there. Always watching. Always waiting. And then, one moment, something changed. A vibration. Faint. Distant. But real. Footsteps. Above. I froze. Every part of me, whatever was left, pulled toward that sound instinctively. Because I understood. Before it even happened. Someone's here. The voices around me stirred. Soft. Hungry. Hopeful. A new one? The surface above shimmered faintly. And through it, I saw the room again. Clearer this time. Less distorted. As if something wanted me to see. Wanted me to remember. The door opened. A figure stepped inside. Carrying a bag. Looking around cautiously. Confused. Exactly like I had been. No. Exactly like all of us had been. Don't. The words slipped out of me before I could stop it. Weak. Desperate. Pointless. The others reacted immediately. Too late. They always come. They always stay. The figure in the room set their bag down. Walked slowly toward the bed. Their steps echoed above me. Each one sending a dull, vibrating pulse through the space below. Closer. Closer. I moved instinctively, reaching upward, even though I knew it wouldn't help. Don't sleep there. I tried again, louder, straining whatever voice I still had. But all that came out was a faint distortion, a broken echo, lost before it reached the surface. Above me, the figure sat on the bed, right above where I was. The weight pressed down. Familiar. Terrifying. It starts now. The voices whispered. Almost reverent. Almost excited. I shook my head violently. No, no, please, just leave, just go. But they didn't. Of course they didn't. They never do. Because no one believes the warning. Not at first. The room grew darker. Even above. The light dimmed. The silence returned. And then. The moment. The exact moment. The one I knew too well. 12:17. Skr, skr? The sound began again. From somewhere deeper. Further below. Not from me. Not yet. But soon. The figure above stiffened. Listening. Just like I had. Looked down. The voice whispered. Soft. Familiar. Not mine anymore. But still close enough to make my entire existence tremble. And in that moment, I understood something worse than everything before. This wasn't random. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't even a curse. It was a cycle. Perfect. Unbroken. And now. It was starting again. Chapter 14. The Loop. I knew exactly what would happen next. Not because I could see it clearly. But because I had lived it. Every second. Every sound. Every mistake. Above me, the new tenant sat frozen on the bed. Listening. Just like I once had. The scratching continued. Skr, skr? Slow. Measured. Patient. It wasn't trying to hide anymore. It didn't need to. Because sooner or later, they always listen. Do you hear it? The voice whispered from below. Not mine. Not yet. But close enough that I felt something inside me twist. The tenant shifted slightly. A small movement. Barely noticeable. But down here. It was everything. The others stirred around me. Their shapes stretching, trembling, reacting to the sound like predators sensing blood in water. They hear it. They always do. Wait. Just wait. Their voices overlapped, layered, crawling over each other in a chorus that made the darkness feel alive. I pushed myself upward again. Closer to the surface. Closer to the thin barrier that separated us. Don't answer. I forced the words out. Straining. Fighting. Don't listen. But my voice fractured before it could reach them. Breaking apart into something unintelligible. Something useless. Above. The tenant leaned slightly forward. Head tilting. Trying to locate the sound. Trying to understand it. The same mistake. Every time. No. I whispered. But I already knew. It was too late. Because curiosity doesn't stop. Not when something calls to you in the dark. Look down. The voice said again. Softer this time. Closer. More intimate. The tenant's breathing changed. Shallow. Unsteady. I remembered that feeling. The pull. The need to confirm. To prove it wasn't real. Don't I tried one last time. But the others drowned me out. They're going to do it. Watch. Watch. The darkness tightened around us. Anticipation. Hunger. Something deeper than both. Above. The tenant slowly shifted their legs off the bed. Feet touching the floor. Right above me. Right where it had all begun. Yes? A voice from below whispered. Not from me. Not anymore. But from the thing that had taken my place. That's it. My entire being recoiled. Because I recognized that tone. That calm. That certainty. It had learned everything. Perfectly. The tenant hesitated. Just for a second. A single moment where everything could still change. Where they could still walk away. Where the loop could break. But it didn't. It never does. Slowly. They bent down. The surface above me shimmered. Thinned. Opened. And for the briefest instant. Our worlds aligned. I saw their face. Wide eyes. Uncertain. Breathing uneven. Exactly like mine had been. And then. They looked. Directly. Into the darkness. Into us. Into me. Silence. Complete. Final. And in that moment. The loop closed. Again.
Like and subscribe to Whispering Dark Tales for more chilling ghost stories.
Chapter 15. What waits below? It happens instantly. There is no scream. No struggle that anyone above could ever hear. From their side, it probably looks like nothing at all. Just a person leaning down. Looking under the bed. And then. Stillness. But down here. We feel everything. The moment their eyes meet the darkness. It changes. The surface trembles. The space bends. And something chooses. Not randomly. Not blindly. But with intention. With precision. With hunger. This one. The voice comes from everywhere. From the walls. From the floor. From inside whatever remains of us. And then. It begins. Their shadow moves first. Always the shadow. It stretches unnaturally across the floor above. Pulled toward the edge of the bed like it's being dragged by invisible hands. Down here, we see it clearly. A long, dark shape peeling away from them. Struggling. Resisting. But losing. No. The new one whispers. Faint. Distant. Already fading. The others gather. Not physically. But in presence. In awareness. In silence. Watching. Because we remember. We all remember. The shadow reaches the edge. And then. It slips through. Not falling. Not dropping. But passing. Through the thin barrier between above and below. Between real and not. Between being. And becoming this. The moment it touches our side. It screams. A sound without air. Without voice. Without form. And then. It joins us. Another shape in the dark. Another existence stretched thin across something that isn't quite space. Another witness. You shouldn't have looked. The voices murmur. Not cruel. Not kind. Just certain. Above. The body still stands. Still breathes. Still exists. But it's not them anymore. It never is. We watch as it slowly straightens. As it turns away from the bed. as it becomes normal. Perfectly normal. Just like the one before. Just like mine did. And then it leaves. Step by step. Without hesitation. Without memory. Without anything left behind. The room resets. Silence returns. The bed waits. It always waits. And down here, we remain. Not alive. Not dead. Not gone. Just waiting. Because that's what this place is. Not a prison. Not exactly. A threshold. A system. A perfect, endless exchange. One goes up. One comes down. No exceptions. No escape. Only continuation. Only repetition. Only the quiet, patient certainty that sooner or later, someone else will enter that room. Someone else will hear the scratching. Someone else will hesitate. Just long enough. And when they do, we will all feel it. That brief moment. That fragile second. Where everything could still stop. But never does. Because curiosity is stronger than fear. Because the dark always calls. And because beneath every bed, there is a space. Waiting. Listening. Smiling. For the next person. Who makes the mistake of looking. If you made it this far, you already know how it ends. Not with escape. Not with answers. But with something waiting. Because the story doesn't stop when the last page ends. It doesn't stay in the room. It doesn't stay in the dark. It follows. Into silence. Into night. Into the moment when you're alone, and everything feels just a little too quiet. So tonight, when the clock passes midnight, and you feel that strange urge to check beneath your bed, stop. Don't move. Don't look. Because once you do, something will be looking back.
Like and subscribe to Whispering Dark Tales for more chilling ghost stories.